Without our desert, we're not much. And the desert is a beautiful place. It's entirely different than the desert you see in the rest of the world. And I've been over the Sahara Desert many times. I've been over the deserts of Africa. And it's none of them compare to our Arizona deserts. And I just want to keep them that way as long as I can.
My buddy and I decided to take a road trip to Colorado. And I remember when we got home, driving up Cave Creek Road and looking at the hills here, I was going, my God, this is as pretty as anything we've seen on our entire road trip. It was that spectacular.
I like to say I'm a Westerner, that I grew up in Western New York State and moved out here because we love the desert. You know, you don't have to shovel sunshine, and it's just a great place to be.
I first came to the desert when I was 6 years old and was amazed by the cactus and the smell of orange blossoms in the air and the horses in the streets, and knew that this is where I wanted to live.
Well, I grew up in New York, and the sky is so different in Arizona. I'm sitting here, the sky goes on forever, and it's the wide open spaces.
I remember the first time I came here, someone's like, oh yeah, everything here wants to kill you, poke you, and sting you. That's true, but once you get past all the harshness and hardness of the desert, you start to see its beautiful underbelly.
You can hike not that far away, and you don't see any houses, and you don't hear any people, and you hear the birds. And that's very good for the soul.
Arizona is the only place in the world that has Sonoran Desert. No matter what John Wayne and the cowboys tell you about Texas, we so need to protect it. It's not going to come back once it goes away.
The Growing Smarter Commission is seeking feedback this week on a number of ideas to handle growth. One of the most far-reaching suggestions deals with the state's trust land.
State land tracts are some of the biggest parcels that the land developers buy up, and they develop them densely.
They need to go out and see what they have on the land, see what condition it's in, and see which of these land would never be developed upon.
We became very conscious of the fact that Phoenix was moving in our direction. In the late 1980s, early 1990s, huge developments were just starting. Golf courses going in a number of areas, bringing in a lot of very nice people, but taking a lot of the habitat that was here in the open space.
Understanding that growth happens, but growth doesn't have to be unrestrained.
Nature, economics, none of it is constant. It's always going to evolve, but will it evolve in the way that make us comfortable and that will make our lives better? Not financially better, but better in terms of the quality of our lives.
Our goal is to acquire, hold, and manage open space areas surrounding us to ensure they remain forever untouched. At this time, I would like to introduce the founding father of the Desert Foothills Land Trust, our president and my mentor, Jack House-Connect.
Jack House-Connect started a land trust on the East Coast, and he came out here and saw the riparian areas and knew that we were losing land.
Jack came around with the whole concept of a land trust.
I said, what's a land trust? And there began a story.
Jack was a force of nature. He was in his 80s when I met him.
And he called us every day for a year saying, this is what we need to do. This is how you really do protect the desert.
You didn't really say no to Jack House-Connect. You could kind of hide from him, but that was about it.
He was a marketing guy. He was a sales guy. And he sold us on a land trust.
In Westinghouse, they say, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse. Here at GE, we say, progress is our most important project. Right, progress. At DuPont, we bring good things to life through chemistry. Here at the Land Trust, we say, help!
In the beginning years, we were just a bunch of people with an idea And we kind of learned as we went. We didn't have very much money, and we'd have meetings wherever we could find a location.
Jack was rounding people up and got a great core group of people who could come out and be on the land and sort of take note of its resources and then work to protect them.
I don't think we'd ever really thought we could actually acquire property and keep it preserved forever.
Mark Hazelton.
I was on the first board of directors for the Desert Foothills Land Trust and involved ever since as sort of a pro bono realtor and supporter of conservation in the area.
All the people that were involved were the people that I first met that became my best friends here. And they all share the love of the desert and the desire to preserve as much of it as possible.
We went from a group of people who worked out each other's homes. We didn't have email, you wrote letters, you called people on their home phones. A real basic kind of simple organization with not a whole lot of structure. It was just people you knew to what is now a really very professional organization.
One of the first efforts that we were anxious to do was to protect the area around the cave for which Cave Creek is named.
We have protected the cave, riparian habitat associated with it, and forever, future generations will be able to enjoy this.
We concentrated on what we could of the most important areas around that we knew were fragile and could be preserved for the future.
We're looking to somehow keep this from turning into just another faceless tract of homes and strip malls. So we think that there is a way to do it. We've been very successful so far, and all of your support indicates that we're on the right track.
We got involved with the effort to protect the 2,100 acres at Spurcross Ranch, which was for sale, and in fact was under contract at that time in the late 1990s for a golf course and 750 homes. But along the way, the Desert Foothills Land Trust was able to protect what's called the jewel of the creek. That's 25 acres.
The jewel has birds that you don't see in other places, running water that you can hear.
We preserved the areas that had water because water is so special, so wonderful in the desert. It's magical.
Together with community groups and activists, we got involved with trying to protect Spurcross, which is now one of the wonderful parks in the Maricopa County system.
Urban sprawl roadblock. Governor Fife Symington signed the Arizona Preserve Initiative today.
The most significant thing about the Arizona Preserve Initiative is, so if you look around and like what you see, you know that you now have the power to keep it that way.
I think that we must continue our efforts to look towards the future, because the future is that our children and our grandchildren can see areas like this, can have Spurcross as a park, as a recreation area, and as a place for their children.
The Land Trust's goal is to protect and preserve in perpetuity. And I look around and think, yeah, we did some of that.
If Jack House Connect hadn't showed up, I don't think the organization would have started or been able to protect the things we were able to protect.
It is amazing that for 35 years we've kept this going, and the fact that we've been able to keep it the way it is without the development, so many homes and things like that we're encroaching on this beauty. So I think the happy birthday is well deserved.
The people that had the forethought to start this land trust, to be able to make such big, heavy lifts like protecting Spurcross and the Jewel of the Creek as volunteers, I mean, that is an amazing feat.
It's been a great 35 years, and I think the Land Trust has found out when people to get together what you can do. And maintaining that sense of enthusiasm, that sense of purpose, is something that's going to be very important.
I wish that I was as young as I was 35 years ago and could start doing this all over again with the companionship and the fellowship of my friends who are still around. We did a great job.
The Land Trust and I'm going to get teary-eyed. Has been a part of my life for 35 years. That's half my life. It's pretty amazing.
I would just like to thank everyone who has supported the Land Trust in the past and going on into the future, the individuals that have come and gone, and we look forward to the next generation.
Keep that love protect you. Keep it forever in your hearts and forever in your minds, so that your children, your grandchildren, can enjoy what you and I have been privileged to enjoy, life on the desert.